Hello and welcome to Perception Media. I am your hostess, the Cinegeek. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained and look like crap. It's like 5 a.m. and I've watched this episode twice. Okay, so it is episode 6 of Castle Rock titled The Filter, and warning for spoilers because I'm just gonna dive right into this episode and get all up in it. Alright, so we start with a scene in the woods. And we have an overlay of the noise, which to be honest sounds kind of like a blending of the wind and a bear making bear noises. What does the bear say? And then we get into Matthew Deaver, aka Reverend Deaver, aka Henry's father, and he's talking about the noise to Henry. So then we go into his second funeral, and it's pretty much just Henry there, and he looks over and sees Rory Culkin and with that older gentleman, and we're gonna go, and I'm just gonna I'm not explaining this in chronological order of how it happened. I'm just kind of explaining it in such a way that it makes it easier to kind of talk about what happened. So later in the episode, he meets up with Rory Culkin, who we learn is a young man by the name of Willie, and the older gentleman he's with is deaf, and his name is Odin Branch. I wonder if he has a son named Thor. Anyway, theory just came to me. If you're into Norse mythology, Ragnarok is actually started with a horn called Yellowhorn, which is a really great band. I definitely recommend looking them up. And that ushers in Ragnarok, where Fenrir eats the world. So what if the kid, not Pennywise, is Fenrir, and Henry is, and the noise are like Yellowhorn, ushering in the end of days. I don't know. Anyway, that's probably not it, but that'd be so cool. So anyway, I'm digressing in like weird tangents, I apologize. So they have a conversation with Henry, who was out walking around with this really old video camera that has like a home movie that his father made of him walking through the woods, asking him if he can hear the noise, and he's seemingly coming like more and more unhinged, and we'll get more into that a little bit later. So Willie, Rory Culkin, is interpreting what Odin Branch is telling Henry, and I'm gonna just paraphrase this, and they are using a lot of weird terminology that I don't understand, so I'm just kind of going to do my best. So they're going to talk about the noise, which they call the Skismo. Most people can't hear it at all. Some people once and never again. A lucky few hear it constantly. It's quiet in some places, much louder in others. Your father called it the voice of God. The ancients called it the music of the spheres. The Skismo is actually nanoscale turbulences caused by a tilt in our quantum totalities upriding in parallel. Other years, other nows, all possible pasts, all possible presents. The Skismo is the sound of the universe trying to reconcile them. And then he goes on to say that the Skismo is louder than it's been in years, decades. And I think this has to do, or it coincides with the kid, not Pennywise, being let out and back into society from having been in the cage. And then Odin also says, as it pertains to Reverend Dad, that, as it pertains to this filter, so Henry's father knew about the filter, and Odin Branch built the filter. And what the filter is, it's like this bizarre blue room with these like spiky things that cancel out all the noise in the world except for the Skismo. So it filters out all the noise except the Skismo, and that's where you hear the truth. And Odin Branch says that Henry's father compared the filter to the schematics Noah was dictated from God, which is interesting because in a previous episode, Warden Lacey had also compared not Pennywise's cage that he had built to Noah's Ark. So this further shows the connection between these two individuals. It almost seems like they're kind of in a different story, to be honest. It's like but they're somehow connected, and they'll bring it together. There's only 4 episodes left in the story, and honestly, there's no questions answered, and they're just getting more and more questions for me anyway. So crazy. So we know the schisma is like the truth, and it's a noise. And I have this theory that Warden Lacey had actually kidnapped Henry, or had him in his cellar during those 11 days that he was missing back in 1991. Because in the second episode, we kind of see when Henry is at his house, they have the lock in the foreground and Henry in the background, because they really want you to see that lock. And he asks Warden Lacey's wife what's in the cellar, and she kicks him out of the house because she's super rude. But, so there's definitely drawing attention to that. I don't know if that's a misdirect, but we know he was locked in a cellar somewhere. And we know his father heard the schisma, and obviously Warden Lacey heard the schisma. Not quite sure why they heard such different things, one pertaining to not Pennywise, and then Warden Lacey's father, or Henry's father, doesn't seem to know anything about not Pennywise. So I'm really not sure why the schisma is kind of telling them different things. And is the dog the schisma? I'm so curious about that dog. What happened to the dog? Where'd the dog go? Bring the dog back. Hashtag, what's up with doggy? Alright, so in other places, Molly confesses to Henry that she killed his father, and that goes over as bad as well as you would think it would. Mike Hanlon from It, the 2017 cinematic version, comes to town. He is actually Wendell, played by Chosen Jacobs, and he's Henry's teenage son. He's there to visit Ruth, whose dementia seems to be worsening, but it's actually not dementia. It seems like she knows a lot about the schisma too, and she's talking about, while she's playing chess with Wendell, she's talking about how she's kind of going other places and other times, and she's leaving the chess pieces in different rooms to show her that when she sees that chess piece there, she knows it's the present. I guess it's that present as compared to other presents. Kind of reminding me of Fringe, which is also a Bad Robot production. Okay, so now I'm going to cut to Pangborn. And he goes to Syracuse to get Warden Lacey's Lincoln, the car. And I gotta say, you know, the death toll in Castle Rock might be atrocious, but Pangborn and Warden Lacey were driving the same cars from 1991, at least, up until 2018. Like, the automobile life expectancy in Castle Rock is fantastic. Like, I might die, but if my car gets me through to the rest of my life, I will be just happy. I'll be fine with that. I love my car. So he goes off to get the car because Not Pennywise sent him to do so with the promise that he would help Ruth if he did. And while he's there, he hears over his radio that Juniper Hill Psychiatric Hospital, which is where Henry Bowers was in It, caught on fire. 14 people are dead and 4 patients are missing. Earlier in the episode, Henry had taken Not Pennywise there, so obviously he's one of the 4 patients who has escaped. So Not Pennywise has really taken a turn in this episode. He went from this, like, really quiet, kind of scared, just still blank page of a person to really, really, really creepy. And I want him to be a good guy. Like, I want him so much to be a good guy. But that's not how they're showing him. I just think it's gotta be red herring. Like, if he's a bad guy and has anything to do with being like the Antichrist, that is going to be the most boring, played out storyline, particularly for a Stephen King adaptation. Do something new. Please be something new. I'm hoping, praying. Anyway, he's wandering around in Henry's father's suit and clothes, and he was like wandering around their house, playing their records, watching their home videos, laying down in his bed. It's almost like I had a theory that maybe he was channeling evil Reverend Dad, but I'm not sure. And Henry earlier mentions that his mom Ruth had like either a miscarriage or a stillborn, and they had a child that died. Maybe he didn't die. Maybe that's their child, or their child that would have been from a different universe. I don't know. So anyway, after he broke out of Juniper Hill, he comes back to the Deaver's house, and I don't know where Wendell is, but Ruth's definitely there. And he comes in and he takes off his jacket and he hangs it and he takes off his shoes, which is kind of a throwback to episode 3, where where Ruth told Henry to take off his shoes because his father wouldn't abide by any shoes in the house. So like that's why I really got like maybe he's channeling their dad almost, or maybe he has like Molly's powers and he's kind of like channeling his spirit or something like that. Like Molly channels Henry, is not Pennywise channeling dead Reverend Dad? I don't know. But anyway, then it cuts back to Pangborn is home, and not Pennywise is sitting on the stoop in the dark, and Pangborn says he got Lacey's Lincoln. What now? And oh gosh, it's so creepy. Not Pennywise says that he wants to build a monument to him and everyone who helped put him in the cage. And that's when Pangborn realizes Not Pennywise is bleeding, and then he looks up into the house and says, "Where's Ruth?" And then Not Pennywise, oh gosh, he looks up and he says, "Why would you leave me in that trunk, Sheriff?" And then Pangborn runs into the house and he finds like blood everywhere. The new alarm system is like going off the hook. The pan is on the stove and burning, and there's again blood everywhere, and there's like handprints and blood, and I don't know where Wendell is, but but it does say he's in the next 5 episodes, and it does say that Sissy Spacek's in all 10 episodes, so either she's going to have narration, or she's going to be in flashbacks, or she's not dead, and I'm hoping that Not Pennywise really did heal her. But it seems like he wants revenge now, so he's turned into, I don't know, old boy? I'm not sure what's happening. But it's great, and that's how it ends. And it just leaves me with so many questions. Like, what's up with Willie and Odin? Willie looks so afraid of Odin. Like, he does not want to go through the true thing. He does not want to get corrected, I think is what they called it. He doesn't want to go into the blue room, the filter. Can Molly hear the Skismo too? And can she hear it through Henry? Is Henry going to be different now that he's gone through the filter? Will he also deafen himself like Odin did? And what is up with Not Pennywise? Seriously, that's like the main question. That's all I want to know. He is the Laurel Palmer of this, except he's alive, and I don't want to know who killed him. I want to know what he is. Just tell me. Just tell me. And what is his connection to evil Reverend Dad? What's Lacey's connection to evil Reverend Dad? What's anyone's connection to anyone? Is Not Pennywise a Langolier? Like, eating the other universes so there's just one universe, and that'll cause realignment. What is the Skisma? What's it doing? What happens when it realigns? Is Henry the keymaster and Not Pennywise is the gatekeeper, and they're gonna do something and cause a realignment, and then we're gonna get Gozer because all things should come back to Ghostbusters? We need a Moon Knight movie. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. The Ghostbusters thing was off the cuff and it was so dumb, but now I want that to be the thing. If there's something clown in your neighborhood and it looks really Carrie, and you got Christine driving up on you, and there's the Castle Rock Strangler, and you got Cujo on your tail, who are you gonna call? Who? The Ghostbusters. It's 5 a.m. and I haven't had any coffee yet.